as you might imagine, for every small town in America, there are little Facebook groups, private Facebook groups where you can kind of share news and blah, blah, blah. And in the What's Happening in Auburn and Opelika Facebook group that I'm a part of for my hometown, there was one of these stories, and there have been in places all over, where basically they were like, Tiger Town is, in reference to your show, Mall Talk. Our big kind of equivalent of the Grove where I'm from is called Tiger Town. So it's just like big outdoor shopping mall with a bunch of box stores and shit. And somebody on there was just like, I heard that Antifa is bringing buses to Tiger Town to loot.
Oh my God.
Auburn is a town of 50,000 people. Like, there's more fucking people on this street than there are in my hometown. And also all the protests they had in Auburn were in downtown. Like, they were not, like, Tiger Town is like way the hell out in the south, like out in the far-flung kind of reaches of the city. But this has been a thing all over, is this conspiracy that Antifa has buses and they are driving them to small towns to terrorize the town.
So this is purely fan fiction that someone
100%
made up, and it's actually catching on.
I bet it's a troll thing, and somebody just posted it being like, I bet people will believe, because that's so many things online now, is it like starts out with a troll, and then all these like boomers can't see what humor is or just don't know better.
Right.
And they start thinking plus they're seeing on the news that they're like talking about like bussing in like rioters and shit on like Fox News, so they believe that's a thing.
Well, and a lot of that, if we're telling the truth here, a lot of that was started by Democratic mayors being like, well, most of the people that we arrested are from outside of the community. It's like, and all of those turned out to be inaccurate.
Yeah, they just lied about it.
Like, it happened in Minneapolis famously, where like they were like, well, obviously the riots were bad, but the good news is that 80% of the people we arrested are not actually from Minneapolis. And that was
and then
revealed.
There's this weird conspiracy that people are coming in just to like...
Right, which is basically just a way for liberals to like separate themselves from this movement.
It's also a way to try to act like the people in the town where the riots happened don't have a legitimate complaint and don't care.
And then also creating that massive barrier where they're like, there's the peaceful protesters, and then there's these
opportunistic fucking
and it's like,
riders.
Or what if it's all part of the same thing and it's completely righteous anger and looting is a legitimate form of protest, but you don't want to talk about that like on your show?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're not going to give credence to anything that scares the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And that's why when it's like one of those things where like they're going to go attack the strip mall. And people are like, oh, fuck. Best Buy? That's where I buy my TV at. Like, what? Why do you care?
And the whole, like, so that people can be like, well, I support the protests, but I just don't think the looting is okay. And it's like, guess what? Get on board, bitch, or you're not on board at all.
You gotta take the whole pill. This is a reaction.
Even if some of it is, like, people who are, like, just causing shit to cause shit, it's like, it doesn't mean it's, like, this much of a divide as you're trying to pretend it is.
Right.
And
like,
it's also pretending peaceful protest gets stuff done.
And that peaceful protest is the only legitimate form of protest. Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is that it's creating this thing where it's like, well, they were peaceful, so actually they were good. And it's like, and guess what? Peaceful protest doesn't really get anywhere. And if they weren't peaceful, that would also be completely fine. Like, you can't just put this thick line between the two.
I think it's, I don't know. They know that equality isn't actually possible, because if you've oppressed a group to a certain point, they're not just gonna, once they be able to stand up to the oppression and be like, okay, let's agree on some stuff. We need to make it equal. They're going to be like, hey, fuck you. You can't give us some more stuff.
You can't compromise your way out of 400 fucking years of this bullshit. But I did. This is from a rural community in Illinois called Sparta. One Facebook post written by a previously unknown outlet called DC Dirty Laundry claims to have discovered specific plans to bus large numbers of, quote, Antifa terrorists into the small town of Sparta, Illinois, where, quote, they will be directed to target rural white Americans by burning farmhouses and killing livestock. The article names specific routes that the buses will be taking, sourced to, quote, highly reliable individuals, end quote, and Illinois was targeted targeted because restrictions on gun ownership have transformed the state into a shooting gallery for Antifa.
Yeah, this is
my God.
definitely a troll.
This is to scare your grandparents.
And like, to be one of those people that would believe this, where you really never have anything to actually be scared of in your life.
Yes.
So you just like make up being like
It's
stuff to
fun.
be scared of.
That's-
Seems fucking exhausting.
Well, that's the thing. I think for this specific thing,
it's fun for
it's
them.
fun to get your fucking crazy machine gun and go
Yeah.
march around. Like that's
That's
the most exciting thing that's ever happened in Sparta, Illinois.
The reason all these rednecks have machine guns is because they've been waiting for the day where they feel like they're in danger enough to have to use them.
And they can't fathom that nobody gives a shit about them.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they can't deal with that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with how after 9/11, every small town was like, they're coming here next.
Yeah.
My hometown.
And it's
So
like, no, they're not. They don't know you exist.
Yeah.
the first big football game after 9/11 was Auburn versus LSU at 11 a.m. on the following Saturday, right? So that would be the first big football game. And literally on the news in Alabama, they were like, if Osama bin Laden's going to hit anywhere, it's going to be Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama for this sporting event. And like, even then as like I was like 14 or something. I was like, yeah, I don't think they're coming here for some reason. I just feel like they're probably going to go somewhere else. Probably LA or Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, people just wanted to feel like they were attacked personally.
Yeah. But like I said, this is fun for these people. This is
Also,
excitement.
I mean, of course, it's like this idea of Antifa as
It's
this
hilarious.
organization.
Yeah. It's just
Who's
like,
paying for these buses?
God, I wish.
Did you guys see the Antifa card meme?
No.
Where somebody like photoshopped a debit card and wrote like Antifa family on it and was sitting around being like, this is the rechargeable card they pay the rioters with after they go to a new city. And then all these, boomers are sharing it like, you see,
Here
I
it
told
is.
you.
Here it is. There's no such thing as Photoshop. Here it is.
George Soros.
Oh, that's the bet. I'm like, dude, yeah, we all run somewhat lefty podcasts. Where's our fucking Soros check, man? Soros ain't even on the Patreon. What the fuck? So that post was credited to a earlier report from Natural News, a notorious anti-vax outlet that's been banned from posting on Facebook.
Wow, you have to do a lot to get banned from Facebook.
Yeah, it's just
They'll
them
let
and-
anything slide.
The Sparta sheriff addressed the rumor on Friday, saying, quote, "We have no evidence leading us to believe that this threat is credible at all." So that's Illinois. Now I would like to go over to Curry County, Oregon. The sheriff there told his department's Facebook followers, quote, and this is the sheriff, "I got information that 3 busloads of Antifa protesters are making their way into the county." Although he added, "I don't know if the rumors are true or not just yet, but I got information about 3 busloads."
Holy shit.
That's the sheriff. And then I love the caveat of like, "Oh, I'm not sure if this is true." It's like, hey man, well, you're the sheriff. Maybe don't say anything till you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's
Good thing he's in charge of criminal investigations.
yeah.
That sounds perfect.
The quote continues from the sheriff. They are making their way from Douglas County, headed to Coquille, and then to Coos Bay. Headed
Coos Bay.
Coos, Coos Bay.
Okay.
I was told they're looking for a fight. Don't tell people this, you maniac.
My God.
I did talk to Coos County Sheriff Zanny a few minutes ago, and he is in Coquille with all of his deputies. They are waiting just in case. Sheriff Zanny said there is about 100 local boys there as well, packing weapons, ready to defend the county from Antifa.
This is terrifying.
Yeah. What cop advocates for vigilante justice?
Fucking
Oregon, I
what did I say?
guess.
John Ward of Curry County, Oregon.
God.
I have no information that if what Sheriff Zanny said will happen, but if it does, Antifa could possibly make their way down here. If they do, we'll have all of my deputies and local PD to protect our citizens. Without asking, I am sure that we could have a lot of local boys too.
Oh no. Is there a more terrifying 2 words than local
boys? Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially
Like-
in this context.
Just dark as fuck?
I don't think I've ever had any good interactions with people I describe as local boys.
No, it's just like
not in redneck areas.
That's the fucking terrorist organization is local boys.
Yeah,
it probably literally is members of racist organizations.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where did Ward get this information? He said that the information was forwarded to him by email from City Council member John Huddle. So
yikes.
Yeah,
they're out there protecting the citizens.
Quote, our attorney forwarded me a post from somebody and I sent it on, and it was sent to him by another attorney, and that's kind of a private attorney.
You know this post was one of those 100 times forwarded emails with insane neon green fonts and graphics.
15 fonts.
And Comic Sans and a weird Helvetica and
broken
flashing.
Yeah, broken GIF links to American flags and shit.
And he's like, we have good authority.
So
we got their flyer.
So that's from the sheriff. Now this is from later that day. A Coos County-based news outlet reported today that hundreds of armed residents showed up in Coquille to protect the small town based on what appears to have been a rumor from the sheriff.
Oh my god.
So quote, when people tell us someone is coming to our hometown, after hearing threats and reading them online, I feel defensive and want to protect my home, said bystander Timothy Robinette. During the hours-long wait for Antifa terrorists, a vehicle drove by while a passenger held a Black Lives Matter sign out the window.
Oh.
At that point, the vehicle was blocked in an intersection by the crowd, and a man wearing the American flag as a cape was seen taking the sign from those in the car and shouting. So, welcome to a horror movie.
Well, that's why you can't even be openly liberal in places like this. People will turn on you so fucking quick.
And Oregon has that same problem that California does, where people just assume that it's a bunch of hippies. It's like,
and
nah.
Oregon's one of the worst places there is. I mean, it's the only state that was literally started as a white supremacist state.
Yes, yeah.
And now they have Portland, so people are like, it's fine, even though Portland is also racist as fuck.
Well, yeah,
but
not only that, but they can have quote unquote local boys show up to any protest, and they do.
The rest of Oregon, this is a fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah. And this isn't even the real scary one.
Oh no,
it gets worse than vigilante justice.
I mean, it's along the same lines, but yeah. So let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, so this one's from Idaho. Multiple posts that circulated Monday on social media spread false information claiming that Antifa protesters were planning riots in the Treasure Valley, according to multiple local law enforcement agencies and other officials. Several posts shared widely on Facebook claimed that local police departments and sheriff's offices had confirmed the presence of Antifa buses en route to Boise, claims that the agencies denied. So, in a Facebook post Sunday, the Real 3%ers Idaho group said that it had, quote, credible intel tonight that Antifa and other groups are planning to riot in the Boise area.
What does 3%ers refer to?
I believe it's a white supremacist thing.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
Numbers are never good.
No, they're not, are they?
No, unless it's 6345789. That's the number to Soulville, USA.
All right, just keep reading the thing, Rivers.
You don't know about Wilson Pickett, man?
No.
If anyone sees a post about my... Oh, yes, this is the best. So this is from Facebook user Justin Muse, who is the owner of Specialty Fleet Services in Boise. So he runs airport shuttles. So he owns some buses. Quote, if anyone sees a post about my bus, please flag it and get it taken down. Nolan was driving home from work and somebody posted that it's full of Antifa. Thanks ahead of time. Please share around.
Oh, God.
So a guy who owns a bunch of shuttle buses is getting shit thrown at the buses because people think it's Antifa.
What are they picturing when they picture all these Antifa people? They really think Antifa is like an organized...
They think it's like anarchists who wear black and fucking communist flags on their back.
It's a vague concept.
It's a philosophy.
It's not...
It's
an
like,
organization of people with any sort of structure.
Right. It's like the secular humanists are coming. It's like
this is like the communist scare of the 50s. It's just the group
but communist was a real thing.
Yeah, but Antifa's a real thing, but they just don't understand what it is.
And then there's that thing where it's like they'll just call anyone a communist. They'll just call anyone Antifa.
Yeah.
And also if you are, it's just like oh my god, that's bad. And it's like again, of course everyone has said this truly so many times, but the fact that Antifa is fucking anti-fascist.
Right.
And they're just like terrorist organization. The anti-fascist.
Right. Here's the horror movie. And this is from Forks, Washington, which, if that sounds familiar to you, that is the setting of the damn Twilight movies there. Forks, Washington. Authorities say a multiracial family camping on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington was harassed and confronted by people who accused them of being political activists with Antifa and trapped them at a remote campsite in the woods.
Ugh.
Oh my god.
The family, a husband, wife, their 16-year-old daughter, and the husband's mother arrived Wednesday in the town of Forks in their old converted school bus. So they've got an old hippy-dippy fun time family band solution school bus, and they roll into this redneck-ass town on the Olympic Peninsula, and they stop to buy camping supplies at a local general store. At the store, and this even has the horror movie trope of like, oh, something's not right at the beginning kind of a thing, as a precursor to what's about to happen. At the store, they were confronted and harassed by 7 or 8 carloads of people who repeatedly asked if the family was Antifa, police said. So there's...
Oh my god.
It's like a family of 4 roll up in a school bus, and they're like, clearly this is Antifa. They're here. Look, one of them's black.
How would you not just be like, we're getting the fuck out of here right now?
Dude,
based off that.
I would be gone.
And it's like,
gone.
Of course nothing's gonna happen to any of those people because the cops are probably with them.
They're telling them to do it if those other stories are any indication.
This isn't, we haven't gotten to the scary part. This is just the little flicker of terror at the beginning. So they stopped to buy camping supplies. They confront all these people. The family told the group that they weren't affiliated with Antifa, and they had to drive the bus around several cars and out of the parking lot, and then they headed for a campsite off of a logging road about 5 miles outside of Forks. So now they're going to Camp Crystal Lake. The movie is writing itself. As the family got onto the road again, they told police that they were followed by at least 4 vehicles, 2 of which carried passengers armed with semi-automatic rifles. And when they reached their destination, they began to set up tents. And at that point, they began hearing gunshots and power saws. Quote, the family, concerned for their safety, decided to pack up their camp and leave. But as they drove back down the logging road, they discovered that someone had fallen several trees across the road, preventing their exit. So they're just stuck in this fucking campsite with their school bus there.
Surrounded by gun people.
Yeah, surrounded by gun-toting fucking maniacs in the woods in Oregon and or in Washington.
Oh my god.
This part is good and also raises a lot of questions. 4 high school students who were in the area called police, and they used their chainsaw to clear the road. So these high school kids in this part of town, it's such a lumberjack culture that even the high school kids roll around with saws.
Yeah.
So
might have been their parents' truck.
Yeah, good on them. But yeah, they sawed up the trees and cleared the road. Deputies arrived and escorted the family out of town. The sheriff's office is conducting a criminal investigation. In a statement, the executive director of the Forks Chamber of Commerce commented on the incident. Quote, this is an isolated incident and doesn't represent the people of Forks.
Yes, it does.
Bull fucking shit.
Of course it does.
Also, we got no suspects and we do not give a fuck.
Oh, they got one. I'll put this on our Twitter. So this is from Instagram. John Fletcher has a picture of all of the fallen trees and the bus in the background with the hashtag #ForkStrong.
Oh,
that's
my
a nice self-snitch right there.
It's self-snitch, and how bitch-made is that, too?
This is horrifying.
Yeah, it is.
It's scary as shit, but like, they're cutting trees down. It's like, go talk to them. How about that, you fucking pussies?
God. This is fucking horrifying.
It's horrifying. It reminds me of, there was a it must have been like 5-6 years ago. Bill Burr had an appearance on Conan, and he talked about, because his wife is black, and he was talking to his in-laws who wanted to come to California to like visit him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you should do Route 66. There's so many cool places to stop." And he's like, "But then I thought about it, and I was like, oh, they're all black. You can't do that when you're black, because if you go to a small town, they might fucking kill you." And that's all I was thinking about when I was reading this. Is just like, yeah, it's a different world.
I'm white, and if I go to a small town, they look at me like I'm there to fucking do something bad.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what
I've been through this
actual
town.
minorities.
I've been through this town. Yeah, I've driven the entire Olympic Peninsula, and it's gorgeous up there, but my God, it's desolate.
It's not surprising in any way, but like literally a bunch of white supremacists, it sounds like some of them probably were gonna kill them.
Yeah.
Because
they probably had to be talked down by the semi-sane ones.
Their quote unquote moderate friends had to talk them down. Yeah.
And the fucking police, like, know who did it
Right.
and are friends with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. The police probably spread the information, and then it got real, and then they had to be like, "Oh God," because, like I was saying, if they got talked down by their moderate friends, in this case, that would be the cops. The ones who actually have a license to kill have to be like, "Okay, let us take care of this. Let us shoot the Antifa bus, please." So,
It's fucking crazy.
that horror movie right there. It's written. You don't even have to do. You don't got to do anything to it. It's
Jesus
It's already
Christ.
the scariest thing I've ever heard.
Why do scary people just live where nobody else lives? I mean, it's a good thing, but why does that attract them so much?
It's like chicken egg, right? Because it's like those they just are white supremacist communities.
They're raised
so
that
it
way.
creates more white supremacists.
Yeah. Well, the Olympic Peninsula too is, first of all, I've been there. It's gorgeous to drive through, but the main thing you take away from it is how just desolate it is, because it's the peninsula that kind of is set, like if you go to Seattle, across the Sound is the Olympic Peninsula, and the first town you got to drive through to get up there is Aberdeen, which is where Kurt Cobain is from. And Kurt Cobain, in all of his like writings about his early youth, talks about how many fucking skinheads and white supremacists there were, like at his high school and in that area. They're just everywhere up there. And you are very aware of how alone you are when you go up to like Ruby Beach or any of those places up in Olympic National Forest. You're fucking in the middle of nowhere.
The Pacific Northwest hell. Like, I feel like it's the darkness there is just
it's a beautiful.
It's hard to even like communicate. Like,
I think
how fucking dark it is.
The bad part is that if you get outside of a major city, it usually becomes like that pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's like Seattle and there's Portland.
And I just mean everywhere in the United States,
there's
almost.
California, too.
So anyway, not that I don't think there's any like reactionary shitheads listening to this podcast, but if there are, leave people in happy hippie school buses alone. They're not Antifa. We're all Antifa, and we don't have a bus. All right.
People who drive around the country in old school buses are a different type of weird. They're not Antifa.
No, they're fine. Usually they're probably pretty interesting, and they're,
It might smell like patchouli, but you got to look past some stuff.
They're the kinds of people who say shit like, "Hey man, we all love each other, and all they've got is fear, man." And they're right.
Yeah, that's true.
So leave the hippies alone.